2, 1, 2, 3.
Are you ready, America? It's time for another edition of Game On. With your host, Stevie Ray Braun, and Brad Bad News Bollinger. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Game On. Talking about your favorite sports and different parts of life. Might even get a little take on Lane Kiffin's wife. They tell you what they think, you're not afraid to take a stance. They'll give you the number of pleats in Charlie Weiss's pants. They're the game on guys, see sports through their eyes. Political correctness just up and dies when they give you their views on any sport you want to hear. They're the game on guys, eating fries, drinking beer.
That's right, it's Game On. I am Steve Braun. Joining me, my good friend, Brad Bollinger. Brad, what's going on, man?
Not much, just recovering from a pretty rough sports weekend. But you know what? We got through it, and it's a new week.
You're in a dark place, aren't you?
I'm always in a dark place, but I'm even in a darker place now after that weekend. But
does that mean like the background color is some different color now?
Oh, that's
is it like red or something?
Oh my God! Hold on.
While he's doing that,
yep,
I'll remind you of our social media accounts. You can find us at Game On Guys on Twitter, Facebook Game On Pod. You can also find us on Twitter or on TikTok. On TikTok at Game On Pod. You can email us at emailgameon@gmail.com. And as always, our website is gameonguys.wordpress.com. Brad, you back? You got a red background now?
Yeah. So I've got a remote and everything. So whenever it's dark, Brad, it goes red. And whenever it's back to normal, Brad, it's blue.
Okay. And then what's purple, Brad?
That is sexy time, Brad. We won't see that.
We've seen that, though.
You got to pay for that footage.
We've seen that, though, Brad.
I mean...
We've seen purple, Brad.
Yeah, after you buy me a few drinks, maybe.
Teletubby, Brad. No?
That's a different thing.
That is totally a different thing. You're right. So you're in a dark place.
That's the furry con world. Yeah.
Dark place.
Mm.
Oklahoma lost.
Mm-hmm.
You went 1-2 last week.
Okay.
Well, 1-1.
Right
1-1. 1-1. Sorry.
Don't make it worse than what it is.
Yeah, you went 1-1. My bad. I apologize. You went 1-1.
Thank you.
You got one game right. You missed a game, and then you pushed.
You're changing the light to red, buddy.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I apologize.
That's your warning.
You went 1-1. 1-1. But you did have one bright spot.
Okay. Please share, because I'm
Bray Wyatt came back.
not sure that I did.
No?
Yeah. Okay. You're right. That made no. I think that made up for most of everything.
I mean, you were like,
and that was Saturday night, and by Sunday, like, I was done after the first window practically. So I didn't watch Sunday Night Football. I didn't watch Monday Night Football, and I gotta tell you, it was the most at peace I've been since football season started.
You missed out.
So there might be something there.
Monday night was an exciting.
I know.
And it was a good game.
And I saw so much Twitter activity with all the poor reffing and the intensity of the game.
Josh McDaniels being Josh McDaniels.
Yeah. And you even saw Patrick Mahomes trash talking on the field, which, isn't too common.
Yeah.
Angry Patrick Mahomes. Didn't know that was a thing, really.
I just assume he saved that for his brother and his wife,
Oh, that's a good point.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
thank you, Antonio. Let's move on. We'll just get out of your dark place because I don't want to go too deep.
And the highlight. Let me just give you the highlight
Okay.
to put the cherry on top of the
highlight.
dark weekend.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm in 3 fantasy leagues, and one of them is my work league, which I do care about. But my main 2 fantasy leagues, both teams that I played had Gabe Davis and Austin Eckler. And if you remember correctly, Gabe Davis had at one point 2 receptions for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first half.
Is that good?
And
Is that good?
it's a lot of fantasy points. I know that.
Okay.
And Austin Eckler also had roughly 30 points as well. So
Yes.
between those 2 guys, I was already done. And literally by halftime of the first window, I was already done on both teams. And that's when it hurts the most, is when a player kills you in different leagues. But this time it was 2 players who killed me. And it was just, it was time for Brad to put down the football for the weekend,
Yeah. I got a text that said one of your opponents already had 3 players have plays of over 75 yards. Then you said,
Mm-hmm.
guess who's playing Gabe Davis in 2 of his leagues this week with the hand raise emoji. And then you said, oh, by the way, I'm playing Eckler in both leagues too. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up.
Yeah, you were getting my live reactions because it was like first Gabe Davis hit me and I didn't even realize what Austin Eckler was doing. So it just kept getting worse, and I had to tell you everything because that's what you do in fantasy. Like you share all of your pain, little of your success. It's mostly just about sharing pain.
Yeah, you gotta have that friend.
The beauty of it.
Yeah, everybody has that friend.
Well, because you want to feel justified, you want to feel heard, and you want to, like, when something ridiculous happens in fantasy football, you want someone to acknowledge that it was ridiculous, so you're not crazy, right?
True.
You're like, am I overreacting here? Like, am I just being a typical fantasy dude, or is this kind of ridiculous? And those are the moments that you need the backup.
That's true. Very true. We could go into OU being terrible, but we're not going to.
Yeah.
We've decided not this week. OU lost 49-0 to Texas. That's all that needs to be said. Okay?
Mhm.
Let's move on to maybe one of the better stories in college football right now, Oklahoma State. Cowboys, undefeated on the season, come away with a victory this past week when it seemed like maybe they couldn't. That was going to be... they didn't play just overly well, but they were able to fight it out and come away with the W against Texas Tech, 41-31. Good win for Oklahoma State. They advance to this week where they will take on TCU down in Fort Worth. What should be one of a bunch of really good games in the top 25 this week. Oklahoma State, it seems like Spencer Sanders, the guy is finally, I think, living up to all of the hype after his first game of his career. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, however long ago that was when he came in. I want to say it was against Oregon State that he lit it up. And everybody was like, oh, Spencer Sanders. It was about the same time it was that same year that Spencer Rattler, so 3 years ago, Spencer Rattler was also supposed to be the next big thing. Rattler had a great game. I believe it was against Oregon State, at Oregon State. And then it kind of leveled off. And he's been questionable at times. But this season he has been consistent. He's been solid. And Oklahoma State is sitting at 5-0 behind a great defensive line. A defensive backfield that's questionable, but they've got enough going with not only Spencer Sanders at quarterback, both passing and rushing, Dominique Richardson's been all right, serviceable at tailback. And then at wide receiver, they've got so many options to go with. They're so dangerous that this is a lot of people are saying, hey, they're the best team in the Big 12, and it's hard to argue that. And now they have a chance to probably go prove that against one of the two teams, I would say, remaining on their schedule that would be vying for that position. One being TCU this week, and the other being a Texas team that, if they had Quinn Ewers, probably wouldn't have 2 losses on their record. So it'll be interesting, in my opinion, to see how Oklahoma State does this week, and can they continue? Can Spencer Sanders, more importantly, continue playing as efficient as he has this season?
Yeah, and like you said, you look at their next 4 games. It's the meat of their schedule for sure. TCU this weekend, Texas next weekend, and then they travel to Kansas State the following weekend, who is currently sitting atop the conference. They do have 1 loss overall, but it was a non-conference loss. And then they travel to Kansas the following week. So 4 ranked opponents in 4 straight weeks, 3 of those being road games. So we're really going to find out who the Cowboys are. But I tend to agree with what people are saying. From what I've seen so far this year, which take that with a grain of salt, I think they're the best Big 12 team. I really do. And a lot of it, you got to give credit to Spencer Sanders. I've been very critical of Spencer Sanders in the past, but I feel like that was for good reason. This year, he's really taking care of the ball. You can tell the maturity is really coming into play this year. You can really tell that. He's got 12 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions, which is fantastic for Spencer Sanders. He's also got 6 rushing touchdowns as well. And like you said, the other parts have been serviceable. Running game's been all right. The defense, hey, they're 58th in the nation in points against, which serviceable. And that D-line, like you mentioned, they can make things happen. It's also about winning the turnover battle, right? If Spencer's not turning the ball over, OK State can usually produce 1 or 2 turnovers a game, and that's been the difference. And looking at the first 5 games, I feel like the only knock on Oklahoma State has been that very first game. It was weird things. They were up on Central Michigan by quite a bit, and there was a late rally by Central Michigan. And I think people started to be like, oh, well, here we go. They lost their defensive coordinator last year, one of their best defensive teams they've had in school history, and now look at this year. They're going to get ran all over again on the defensive side of the ball. But they've bounced back from that very well. They had an impressive win at Baylor, beat a really good Texas Tech team. I think that Texas Tech team is feisty. They were playing their backup quarterback, but that guy is a stud. I don't know if you watched much of that game, but they have a really good young quarterback behind the starter, and I would keep an eye out for him. But as of now, week 6 we're going into, I'm high on Oklahoma State for sure.
Yes, I would totally agree. Quick note when we talk about OU, Zach Boyer, who used to work for KUSports.com, as a former employee of there, does some freelance work still for them. He's reporting as of 6 hours ago, about 4 o'clock on Tuesday, that Jalen Daniels, the quarterback for Kansas, is expected to miss the rest of the season with a grade 3 separation of his right shoulder per sources.
And I did see on Twitter, Jalen Daniels responded and said, that's news to me. So
yes.
Who knows?
And Matt Tate.
But I did see that report as well.
Matt Tate, who's the sports editor and KU basketball beat writer for the Lawrence Journal World, and KU Sports, KUSports.com, said a note about KU football QB Jalen Daniels. Zach Boyer, a former employee of KU Sports who has done freelance work for us recently, tweeted Daniels is out for the year. That info wasn't submitted to us and didn't go through our reporting process. We haven't been able to confirm any details. So still up in the air, according to Matt Tate, the sports editor of KU Sports, as
And
well.
that's a very
So,
interesting situation to keep an eye on because obviously Kansas is having one of their better years. And I tell you, Bean came in last week and really gave them a chance to win, though. So, all I can say is it must be nice to have a backup quarterback who can contribute.
yes. And Lance Leopold did tweet out about 7 o'clock on Tuesday, look who dropped by my office tonight, and it was Jalen Daniels with him flexing. He's got sunglasses on, and then he's holding both hands up, or both arms up above his head, doing a peace sign with a big smile on his face. So, based off that photo, I would guess that maybe that report by Zach Boyer isn't spot on, maybe a little false. So, there you have it there. Just wanted to throw that tidbit in there as well. We mentioned one of the many games that involves top 25 teams matching up against each other. Oklahoma State, TCU, undefeated TCU under Sonny Dykes, first-year head coach, moves over from SMU, moves from one spot to the other in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. That is one of the good games that is on the slate. Between number 8 Oklahoma State and number 13 TCU. You also have number 3 Alabama at number 6 Tennessee. Josh Heupel has the Vols rolling. Some really solid quarterback play taking place there. You and I text about this just briefly. And there was an article that I sent you, and now I'm drawing a blank. Was that it was in The Athletic. And I can't remember who wrote it off the top of my head at the moment. But they were talking about Josh Heupel and kind of the success he's having now at Tennessee. And they were able to interview a couple other people, including Mike Leach. And Leach talked about how, in his opinion, Josh Heupel coming to OU was the single most important time in OU's current football history, and that the success came from that. And I tweeted something out and said, well, we look back, and I didn't say the tweet exactly like this, but this was my thought process. Well, we look back at that 2015-2016 season when Bob Stoops decided to fire Josh Heupel instead of his own brother, Mike Stoops, who was the defensive coordinator at the time. Well, we look back at that and say, what could have been? And could that end up being one of the most substantial moments in OU football history as well? Because in an alternate universe, could we be talking about Josh Heupel being the head coach of Oklahoma currently? He fires Mike Stoops. He brings in a defensive coordinator that is able to figure it out. Heupel is able to get things going even better as he continues to have quarterbacks. He gets to have the ball more often because the defense is getting off the field. I mean, in that article, Josh Heupel is quoted as saying, hey, I had a top 10 offense, and yet we had the fewest plays of any of the top 10 offenses. I was also starting back-to-back freshman quarterbacks. Will we look back at it and say, hey, what could have been with Josh Heupel as the head coach from when Lincoln Riley took over, when Bob Stoops walked away 5 years ago? It was 5 years ago now. Will we look back at that and say, hey, what could have been? Because Tennessee has got it going, number 6 in the nation, and has a true threat or realistic opportunity in my mind to go beat an Alabama team that has shown weakness so far this season.
Yeah, it's of course it's interesting. The what if game is always going to be interesting, but Bob Stoops, whenever he made that decision, he also brought in Lincoln Riley to run the show on offense and then eventually promoted him to head coach. But you got to think that Stoops had it in his mind the whole time that, this Lincoln Riley guy, he's our guy. He's the guy of the future. And he did some amazing things while in Norman. I know we're still bitter about him leaving, but we have to acknowledge what he was able to do, especially on the offensive side of the ball, producing 2 Heisman Trophy winners who went on to be number 1 picks, another Heisman candidate in Jalen Hurts, who is surprisingly the best quarterback out of the bunch in the NFL. And now he's off at USC, of course, but it's an interesting what if. It really is. And another possible future what if is if the Venables thing doesn't work out. Do you think Heupel would ever look back and give OU a chance if they came, knocking on his door? What if they want Heupel to come back and be the head coach? I mean, is that going to be a possibility down the road?
I
Who
doubt
knows? But Heupel has had a great run as a head coach. He did some good things at UCF. He has got Tennessee looking
He's just had a great run as a
very
coach.
good.
I mean, he had a
He sure has, yeah.
successful offense at OU, even running an offense that he didn't really want to run as the offensive coordinator. If you go back, Stoops decided, hey, we need to run the pistol, and sent Josh to, I believe it was Utah State or Nevada, one of the two. I think it was Nevada, to learn that offense. Comes back, runs it, still successful, and then gets fired, goes to Utah, ends up going to Utah State, has success there, gets the Missouri offensive coordinator job, success there under Brian Odom, or under Odom, that's the defensive coordinator out at Arkansas now, and then gets that UCF job, like you mentioned, wins a national championship in their mind, goes undefeated, and then gets the Tennessee job, and in year 2 has them ranked in the top 10, and a lot of people thinking that they could have a potential college football playoff run. I mean, it's just amazing to see the success he's had. Back to the slate. Go ahead.
And you hope that, I think as a fan, I think you just hope it works out for everybody. I think you hope it works out for Venables, and I think you hope it works out for Heupel. I mean, I wish them both much success, but right now it's two completely different programs, and it's interesting to see how that goes.
Yes, it is. Another top 10 matchup: Penn State visiting Michigan. Harbaugh again has his team in the top 10 after what was a rocky time there for a while, but success last year has translated again into this season so far. But probably their first real matchup, true matchup with a powerhouse this season. So Coach Franklin and Penn State coming to town. It'll be interesting to see how that one goes. Brad, any thoughts on that one for you?
Michigan has been a rock solid team this year, but I think the problem with Michigan every year is, once they get out of Big Ten play, I mean, excluding Ohio State, of course, but once you get out of Big Ten play, do they have the firepower to hang with these top tier teams like Georgia and Alabama? Are they able to produce enough points against those top tier defenses? And they haven't been. I mean, they're tough defensive minded football team with Harbaugh at coach, but when you get against the cream of the crop, they seem to struggle to keep up. So that's my fear with them, as it is every year. But hey, maybe one of these years they'll find the answer on offense.
Top 25 matchup, another one: NC State and Syracuse, Mississippi State at Kentucky as well, and then probably the one that you've had circled for quite a while, number 7 USC on the road facing the Utah Utes, number 20 in the most recent polls. Utah coming off a loss to UCLA. It'll be interesting to see, can Lincoln Riley and USC continue what has been a really good scoring stretch outside of that game at Oregon State. And Utah the same. Both teams able to go out and score points. Who is able to score more will probably be the deciding factor. And you would have to, in probably my mind at least, say that Utah has the better defense, just slightly.
And the home field advantage is going to be huge. But I think, I hate to admit it, but I think we've got to start paying attention to the UCLA Bruins.
Oh, yeah.
They looked, after beating Washington the week before. And I picked against them both weeks, of course, because that's just who I am as a person. But Chip Kelly, he's got them rolling. We've got to start paying attention to him.
Chip Kelly has Brad Bollinger on his Christmas card list. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, he does. but I just complimented him, so
They're screwed.
expect a loss.
Yeah. Pick against UCLA. All right. Over to the NFL. And the first head coaching change in the NFL, Matt Rhule, he gone. He gone, along with their defensive coordinator as well. And David Tepper was asked about that in a press conference. Scott Fowler, the reporter, asking the question here.
Dave, this is just a timeline question, but did you wake up this morning and decide to do this? Did you know last night? I just wonder what your own decision process was here.
Scott, I read your column, okay? You know better, okay? Every day, this is an everyday thinking about things, how we can be better, what should we do, when is the right time, when's not the right time. And I said there's numerous factors that go into it. I answered that question before. There's a tipping point that gets reached. It just so happened we got to the tipping point. And I think you understand that,
But you're saying you're not very specific on what the reasons were other than you didn't win. I mean, was there something I'm missing other than that he's 11 and 27?
You want me to read? I could actually, I shouldn't say that, but I actually read your columns and I can go back to your columns and regurgitate them. So you can read your own columns, okay, for that answer. Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.
Why did they fire the coach? They weren't winning. They've tried everything at quarterback. And every quarterback they've brought in has actually been worse after they've shown up.
Ben McAdoo.
That's why Matt Rhule is gone. He's on his second offensive coordinator, at least.
Sucks.
One of those being Ben McAdoo. He had Joe Brady. And now, you got to figure out what you're going to do. Yeah, you're going to fire Matt Rhule. And the best part is some university is going to go hire Matt Rhule, and they're going to pay him like $250,000, maybe $500,000, so that David Tepper has to pay the rest. And they're going to say, hey, Rhule, come in. We're going to give you time. You're already going to get paid by Carolina. We'll pay you this much. And then at the end of that, those 4 years, I believe, that are left on his contract, or however long it is, then we'll start paying you the $5 million that P5 coaches get. Like, what a great deal. I mean, he's already getting paid. Go have success. Give him an incentive-laden bonuses contract. Like, let him go figure it out. He's already being rumored, of course, at Nebraska and Arizona State, Wisconsin, because he had success at Temple. And he had success, or was it Temple, right? Yeah, Temple.
Yeah, Baylor.
And then Baylor. Auburn's even being thrown out there. Because, hey, Brian Harsin sucks. They're terrible. But, yeah, I'll take Matt Rhule versus Nick Saban. That'll be fun. Why not? Heck,
Where do you think he ends up, by the way? What's your prediction there?
He had success in Texas. He had success in the Northeast, Philadelphia area. It wouldn't shock. I would be shocked if he goes to Arizona State. I don't know why. It just doesn't seem within the realm. I feel like he's a Nebraska guy. I don't know. It just seems like Nebraska or Auburn. If Auburn does open, I could see him going to Auburn because I could see him saying, yeah, I want to go face Saban. I want to be right in his backyard, and I want to take him on head on. I could totally see that. But the other part of me is, I mean, you go to Nebraska as Matt Rhule. You get that thing going even slightly at this point. You're a god up there with one of the most rabid fan bases for an athletic department. Not just football, for an athletic department. Like, dude, they sell out volleyball there. Women's basketball. Like, they pack the house for all of their sports. So, you can only imagine how they were when they had lost a couple times when OU rolled into town with Fox bringing their pregame show there. Can you imagine what they would be like with Matt Rhule if he got that thing going all of a sudden? So that's where I feel like Nebraska would be the best fit and would make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I just kind of wonder how attractive that job is to potential coaches nowadays. I know I get the history and I get the appeal, but I mean, what's the real appeal though for guys? You know,
We've seen the recruiting go away because they stopped playing in Texas regularly.
Right.
And on top of that, they used to be able to bring in. I mean, it's kind of like OU back in the day. Switzer would go out and just sign everybody. I mean, if you were a really good running back in the state of Oklahoma, he was going to try to sign you. If you were really good in Texas, Louisiana, like he was going to sign you. Nebraska was going out and getting walk-ons to come in, and they'd spend 2-3 years, and then maybe they would end up earning a scholarship and starting eventually. Especially along the offensive line, like they would just go get guys. I mean, they had one of the best walk-on programs out there. And then you've started to see, and my opinion, and I read this somewhere as well, I believe, years ago. Somebody said, you want to know why North Dakota State's so good? They're getting all the guys that were walk-ons at Nebraska that would go on and start playing. They were maybe just slightly undersized or a half a step too slow or a quarter steps. Like, that's the guys that North Dakota State's getting now. So I totally think
point.
I think all of that plays into the fact that it's a different ball game than what Nebraska was doing. But hey, they were having success in the late 90s, early 2000s. Like, I mean, you and I remember the Eric Crouch games against OU. Like, they were still having success then. Biggest mistake they made was firing Frank Solich for going 8-3.
Right.
Yeah, but you moved away from it, and then you went and hired Callahan. I mean, like, what are you doing? Which I read a very interesting piece on that coaching search. Back when Callahan was hired away after he was fired, or hired after he was fired from the Raiders. So Bill Callahan. So very interesting on how that played out. They thought they were going to get Mike Sherman, who was at the time the Packers head coach. Packers had started slow. They thought, hey, we might have an opportunity. Then the Packers all of a sudden start winning games. They make the playoffs. Sherman's like, I'm not leaving this, because at the time he was also the GM. He ends up going to A&M 4 years later. Didn't have success there, but they thought they were going to get Sherman. They thought they were going to get Al Saunders, the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs at the time. Very interesting piece that The Athletic did. So if you have a subscription to The Athletic, I would totally invite you, or encourage you to go read that. All right, Brad, we move along to one of our newer segments, our top 3. And this week, based off a TikTok that I sent you, in which 2 guys got in an argument over Pop-Tarts and what flavor was the best, we're going to go with the top 3 concession stand items, according to Brad and Steve. And Brad, I will let you go first because you're going to get to go first in the Fantasy Pick'em segment as well. So why not? I'll just let you go first.
Well, how about this? Because I'm always prepared. Why don't you just give me your 3, and then I'll give you my 3 because I've got extras in case you take mine.
All right, fine. Basically, you're saying that I have 3 written down right here, and I don't have anything else.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm preparing for you not being prepared.
That's fair. All right. Number 1. This is the trustiest of all concession food items. You go to any ballpark, you're going to buy it. It's the good old-fashioned hot dog. All right? It's a staple.
See? I knew it.
Number 1. All right? Second on my...
They just taste better at the game.
They do. I mean, and then they give them fun names, like a Dodger dog or a Driller dog, if you're a Tulsa.
Yes.
Tulsan.
And they're wrapped up in the foil.
And the foil.
And
if it's done right, the
You
bun's
feel
kind of
American.
the bun's been kind of steamed almost,
Yes.
and hopefully hasn't been wrapped in
yes.
that foil too long to where it's starting to get hard. And even
I
if
know
it
they have
is,
the
you don't
condiment
care.
stations where you just pump the
You just
hell out of the mustard and ketchup.
Yep.
Because it's always empty.
Yes. Yep. And it's sprayed all over the place. Hot dog, number 1.
Mm,
Number 2,
good time.
Brad. Number 2 on my list, the frozen lemonade cup.
Oh, I love that you said
See,
that.
and you didn't even
Okay.
think about it. You didn't have that on your list, did you? You didn't.
Let me tell you something. It
Frozen
was a
lemonade
backup.
cup. There it is, right there.
Do you have a preferred flavor? Because they have the pink lemonade too.
Yeah, I mean they got the strawberry.
Mm-hmm.
That's always one that I'll go classic lemonade typically
Sure.
because that you know they're gonna have that. If they do have the strawberry,
Mhm.
I'm gonna go strawberry. Okay.
Okay.
And then number 3,
I was prepared to fight you on these, but you're getting it right so far.
and then number 3, and this is specific to only one sport, truly. And you probably know where I'm going now. Ice cream in a helmet.
You son of a bitch. That was the one thing that I was very excited to put on my list.
Yeah, ice cream in a helmet. You can have it.
Oh,
You can still have it. You don't have to.
God.
You don't have to go away from my list, but that's a solid list,
I
Brad.
wish you could see the heartbreak on my face when you said that. 'Cause
Solid. List.
that was my go-to. Now the light's red again, so
Oh.
go ahead, finish your thoughts.
So, hot dog, frozen lemonade cup, and then ice cream in a helmet. You go to any ballpark. I don't. At least me personally, I go to any ballpark, anywhere. Minor league, pro, like majors, independent ball, wherever I might be. If they've got a helmet and a mini helmet, and they're putting soft serve ice cream in that bad boy, you count me in. Yeah, you can count on
I'm
me
showing
paying
the
$7 or $12 or whatever ridiculous price it is for that soft serve that somehow their machine works. Walmart or McDonald's doesn't, but theirs does. But because they're putting in a helmet, yeah, I'm paying. I'm buying it. I can't help myself. So that's my 3. Hot dog, frozen lemonade cup, ice
I was
cream in a
showing
mini
the.
helmet.
Say that one more time. I cut you off.
Oh, hot dog,
Your list.
frozen lemonade cup, and ice cream in a helmet. That's my 3.
Okay. Well, I was showing the camera that I did have Dippin' Dots written down, as well as the hot dog, but that's okay.
I almost went
prepared for
Dippin'
this
Dots,
moment.
but you know what? Here's the thing with Dippin' Dots. A, they're the ice cream of the future, and they've been that way for like 20 years. So,
Mhm.
I want to know, when are they taking over? Like, when can I expect that to be in people's freezer? Like, I come over to your house, Brad. When are you going to be like, hey, you want some Dippin' Dots?
And is there a preferred flavor for the Dippin' Dots? Do you
See,
get the mixture? Do you get
I've
banana?
stopped-
Do you get chocolate?
I've stopped getting them. I've almost boycotted Dippin' Dots. Because the other portion of this is they've gone away from the massive tub. You know what I'm talking about? Like they had the big
Yeah.
cylinders full of it, and they had to scoop it
Mhm.
out and put it. Now they've gone to this like contraption pre-packaged mess. Like you're getting a standardized size, okay? So
All right.
I'm out on that. Like I don't
You're
want
taking
your
a stand.
I don't want your pre-packaged future ice cream that's never I don't think it's ever going to take over. I just don't see
You're
Dippin' Dots becoming the ice cream of the future because if they were, it would have happened. I actually
Wow.
think Brad
okay.
here's my thing, Brad. I think that they're going to go the way of HD DVDs. So much promise did not deliver.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I just
This is why we do these lists. I didn't know you were this passionate
I
about it.
just dropped HD DVDs on you. I know you're stunned.
Wow.
You probably need a minute to
It's
compose yourself
Well, while we're airing out ridiculous,
and then give
know,
your thoughts.
while we're airing out ridiculous, passionate feelings about random things, I have one that I was thinking of tonight. In the, Halloween season, it's a big candy season. In these variety packs that they're selling in the stores with the different kinds of candies that
Yeah.
supposedly are for passing out to kids, but a lot of us don't do that, right? But my complaint is in the candy variety packs that they sell in the stores, why are we making gum as one of the options that are in those bags?
Wait, what?
Why are they putting bubble gum
They're putting bubble gum in
in the
these now?
candy variety? Yes. There was
Wow.
one bag that I loved. I was like, "Oh, that's looking good. It's got Starburst, it's got Skittles, it's got Twizzlers." And it ended up, what did it end with? Freaking Hubba Bubba. Bro, I'm not going to chew 30 pieces of Hubba Bubba while I cry at night. I need more of the good stuff.
Well,
if I want gum, I'm going to go get some gum. I'll get a pack of gum.
Here's the problem.
Okay.
Here's the thought, though.
You get me fired up.
Here's the thought, though.
Hubba Bubba? No.
But hold on, man. So you go through it and get all the Hubba Bubba over in your handout to kids section of your candy. Okay? You have a basket or whatever bowl that you're putting it in. Put all that in. And then you sprinkle in a little bit of your second least favorite within that collection, and then
Like
the rest
Almond
is over
Joys.
for you.
Okay.
That's
well,
how
I mean,
I think that's how
I
everybody
don't really
operates.
hand out to kids anyway, so
What? How?
I'm downing that whole bag. I'm sorry.
You're not flipping the light on Halloween.
Diabetes be damned, it doesn't matter.
You're not flipping the light
It's-
on. You're not.
No. Listen, when you're a single dude, you gotta watch what you're doing, You don't want to put yourself in like positions where he's like, oh, that man by himself is
Hey,
passing out candy,
hey, the-
candy to strangers.
The creepy guy down the road
Yeah.
handing out Hubba Bubba.
Yeah. I'm
don't-
not gonna be
You don't want to be that one.
Might as well get in a van at that point. Okay, I'm turning off the red light. Okay. My top three concession items. Top three concession items for Brad.
Yes.
I had to adjust here because Steve took two of mine, but I'm going with nachos, specifically with jalapenos. Now, you can go with your basic liquid cheese nachos, which are always good. I don't know what's in them.
Okay.
Probably not very good for your health,
No, not a chance.
but hey, they're old reliable, and you throw on some of those jalapenos, they add a little kick. You get the saltiness, but you can spice it up at the fancier venues and get, the barbecue nachos or whatever it may be. So they're versatile too,
The
so I'm going with
team-colored
nachos.
chips. I'm not a huge
Yes.
fan. But hey, to each their
Well-
own. I'm not judging. Just
You're exposing yourself
Not my
in front
cup
of a
of
lot of
tea.
people right now. Okay.
I mean, I'll eat them. Don't
Uh,
get me wrong. I mean, I'll eat them, but it's not. I'm not like going out of my. There's a lot of other options on the
But
concessions.
you know
like,
what it is?
I'd go.
It's
I'd
the
rather
fact-
go. I'd rather go slice a pizza before nachos. That's
Okay,
where
but
I
it's
just
the
sit.
fact that at any concession stand in America, at any event from first grade Pee Wee football, you can get some freaking nachos. You can't always get pizza, If you're out in the boondocks in a small town, it's nachos, it's hot dogs, right?
But see,
They're always there for you.
small town. They're not going the bag cheese typically. Small town. Like they've got the Velveeta rocking in the crock pot, and right next to that, Brad, is somebody's mama's or grandmama's recipe of chili that's ready to
Hey.
go on top of those.
That's fine.
And even then,
That's fine.
I'm probably
you can
gonna
put your
go-
own
I'm
spin
probably-
on it.
I'm probably
You're
going
making
the
a case for it.
I'm going the hot dog with that chili and cheese on top of it. That's me though. That's me. This is
Okay.
your list.
That's you.
This is your list.
That's you. Okay. Next up, I am going with the giant soft pretzel with the cheese dipping sauce.
Okay.
And yes, we are salting that mofo.
Oh yeah.
Now,
Wait.
let me. Okay, go ahead.
There's people that don't salt their pretzel.
There is.
Who are these
I
animals?
don't think there's a lot of them, but they do ask if you want it salted.
Oh man.
I don't know. Probably health problems or something. I don't know. let me tell you what I like about the soft pretzel. Now, normally if I'm, looking for a semi-legitimate meal while I'm at the game, I'm not going to get the soft pretzel.
No.
I'm going to go with, the pizza or hot dog, even the loaded hot dog. But soft pretzel comes in clutch when you just need that snack, or when you're drinking at the game and you forgot to eat beforehand and you need to get something in your stomach so you don't get kicked out halfway through the second quarter because you've been drinking too much.
Okay.
Soft pretzel with cheese. And finally, this is going to be a controversial one, but I had to pull it out.
Boy.
It's going to be for a specific audience, I feel like.
Oh, boy.
But I'm into my backups now. I am going to go with a pickle.
Ooh.
Right? Giant, fat, thick pickles with a crunch. And I tell you something, when you're hot on those summer days at the ballpark and you need to get some hydration and your muscles are cramping and you need to fix that, you eat one of those big, lovely pickles, and hey, that is your new man or woman. Women love them too. Give me the pickle when I need some hydration, when I need my body to recover. Give me the pickle. Honorary mention, the giant frozen margarita swirls in the funny glasses with the crazy straw.
Oh, God. I don't even know what to say.
How do you feel about pickles?
You got a little too,
You didn't expect it, did you?
you got a little too descriptive with the pickle.
We're telling the audience a story here, Steve.
Oh, the picture you painted. Oh. Well done, Brad.
Thank you.
Well done.
I'm passionate about this. And Hubba Bubba being a variety pack.
Right. I'll let you take us to the next thing.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and move on to our weekly fantasy football segment.
Oh.
Now, we are tied for the season at 2-2 after last week. Brad, i.e. me, escapes with a tight 1-point victory. Both of our tight ends gave us a big goose egg, and so the other three players had to battle it out. For Steve, Aaron Rodgers racking up 16 points, Josh Jacobs 26.5, and Mike Evans with 10. For Brad, 27 points from Jalen Hurts, Jamal Williams with 5, and Cooper Kupp with 21.5. Final score, Brad 53.5, Steve 52.5. This week we're going to see who can break the tie. And Steve, I believe I am going first.
Yes, sir.
So I will be taking wide receiver DK Metcalf versus the Cardinals. The last two games, he is averaging 9 targets and 119 yards per game. And I really think him and Geno are finding their connection. And Seattle's playing some pretty good ball, which nobody expected. So Metcalf versus the Cardinals.
I like it. He has played very well. And I mean, between him and Tyler Lockett, they have got things going. Geno Smith has, I think, surprised everybody. So I really do like that pick of DK Metcalf. Let's go to, I'm going to go running back. And on the running back side of things, I'm going to go with the man that frustrated you beyond wit's end, Austin Eckler of the Chargers. Los Angeles hosting the Denver Broncos. We've seen how Denver has played recently. It hasn't been good. And the Chargers, the offense has been solid. Herbert still coming kind of, I think there's still been some effects from the rib and everything else. But Austin Eckler has played really well. And I think he'll continue it against this Denver defense. So I'm going to go with Eckler as my running back this week.
Well, you did it again, Steve. I had Austin Eckler written down on my sheet.
That's why I went running back.
Guess I should have gone first. Or running back first, excuse me. Okay, well, I'll recover and figure out my running back situation. In the meantime, I will be taking quarterback Patrick Mahomes versus the Buffalo Bills in the matchup of the season. Josh Allen versus Mahomes. Pissing contest. Who's the man in the league? Both are going to go crazy. Already taken Allen. Give me Mahomes at home with his newfound swagger, trash talk. I love it. Let's do it.
I like it. I think that's going to be a high-scoring game, which probably means it's going to be a 7-3 contest, knowing my luck.
Yes.
But hey,
Yes.
What can you do? What can you do, Brad? I like that pick, though, so don't disagree there. I'm going to go over to wide receiver, and I'm going to take CeeDee Lamb of the Dallas Cowboys. Cooper Rush has been incredible so far this season. CeeDee Lamb has been solid as well. They head to Philly, NFC East matchup, but I like CD in this contest. Give me the former Sooner CeeDee Lamb to go with Austin Eckler for my comeback. Try to break this tie.
Okay. I liked that game too, so I see why you picked it. I am going next with tight end George Kittle at the Atlanta Falcons. I think him and Jimmy Garoppolo are starting to build that chemistry back up after Kittle's absence and Jimmy taking over for Trey Lance after the injury. I think this is going to be a game where it'll probably be more low scoring with how they play ball in San Francisco and Atlanta for that matter. Big running game presence and everything. But where I think Kittle's going to come into play is when the 49ers need those third down pickups, when they need to convert and pick up those first downs. So I see lots of Kittle bailing out the 49ers on third down. Hopefully he can throw a touchdown in there. I see about, I want to say 7 catches for 90 yards and a touchdown.
Man, that would be better than anything he has done so far this season. Kittle has been held to just 11 receptions, 99 yards, no touchdowns. Needless to say, it is about time for him to start getting things going offensively.
Darren Waller also got me 0 points.
He did. So really, anything's going to be better than both of our tight ends. Both tight ends went out, Dawson Knox and Darren Waller, last week. I'm going to go tight end as well. I'm going to go with Tyler Higbee, the Rams tight end, as they host the Carolina Panthers. New head coach for the Panthers, new defensive coordinator for the Panthers. I think Matthew Stafford might get things figured out, and Tyler Higbee will be part of that figuring things out because, A, he's not thrown to Allen Robinson. Don't know if you knew that. Allen Robinson does not seem to know how to have quarterbacks throw him the ball as a wide receiver. Started when he was with the Jaguars, continued when he was with the Bears, and now with the Rams, even with Matthew Stafford, seems to be the same thing. So, Tyler Higbee, after Cooper Kupp, probably the next best option as a wide receiver tight end. So, I'm going to go with Higbee as my tight end.
Okay. Scrambling a little bit to find my replacement for the running back position.
Who's playing? Who's prepared now, Brad? Who's prepared now? I thought you were always prepared better than me.
Well, if you take all my answers,
okay,
then eventually
fine.
I'm going to run out.
Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go ahead and just give me Aaron Jones against the New York Jets. Jets have played surprisingly competitive football this year, but I think the Packers are a little bit peeved at how the London game ended against the Giants, and I see them establishing their talented running duo of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon and wanting to control that ball game from start to finish. So give me Aaron Jones.
Another running back that I would throw out there, same game, Brees Hall of the Jets has really been impressive lately.
Mm-hmm.
Expect that to continue. And then another running back, another rookie that I would say keep an eye on, Kenneth Walker III against the Arizona Cardinals. Seattle, Rashad Penny, he's out, injured his leg last week. Walker came in, had some success. Only imagine him continuing that as we move through this season. So 2 guys to keep an eye on.
And Walker is going to be playing against that Arizona defense that we have questioned all year. So
Yes, no doubt about it.
I would lean to Walker over Brees Hall simply because Zach Wilson scares me, and I feel like he'll just ruin everything.
That's fair. That is fair. And speaking of Seattle and Arizona, that's where I'm going to go with my quarterback. I'm going to take, and it's not who you think, I'm going to take Geno Smith. You talked about DK Metcalf, the success they've had. I like it. I'm impressed with what Geno has done so far. It goes into my theory that if you can keep a quarterback kind of in the NFL, keep them playing occasionally, eventually they might hit. And Geno Smith seems to be hitting so far this season. So I'm going to go with Geno Smith as my quarterback because, A, we can't use guys over. He's playing that Arizona defense. I'm hoping to cash in on that with Geno. And then I can still have some of these great quarterbacks that Brad's picking right now later in the season, and maybe I'll start winning games.
Sure.
Sure, yeah. We're tied right now, so I don't know why I'm acting like
You're just mad about the 1-point loss.
Yeah, I really am. I am.
Does it make you feel better at all that at least my tight end also got hurt and
Yeah,
scored 0?
it does.
Okay.
Like, I would have been really upset.
That even the playing field, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because if that wouldn't have been the case, then I would have been extra pissed about a 1-point loss.
Because Friday, Dawson Knox was announced as not playing in the game. And
Right.
we made these picks on
Right.
Tuesday night, so. Yeah.
Right.
I'm not upset, though. It's okay. I'm fine. It's fine. I'm fine. It's fine. All right, so we move on to Against the Spread, where Brad went 1-1-1 this past
Mhm.
week.
That's right. Catching up ground, baby.
I went 0-3.
Oh, couldn't be me.
All of a sudden, I am
I gained half a game.
7-5 on the year.
Oh my God!
It's not good.
What do you
Do
think,
you
Antonio?
feel-
Oh my God!
Not
Do
good.
you feel me coming? Do you feel it?
No, I really don't because, yeah.
Brad's coming.
Don't say it like that.
And he's bringing his pickle.
Why you
baby.
got to make it weird?
What?
Why do you got to make it weird all of a sudden?
I'm just saying. I'm coming.
Okay. Well, I believe you have honors because, well, you won a game and you tied a game. You pushed one. So I think
That's
that means you
right.
have honors. We'll give you honors. Go for it.
That's right. Okay. Now hold on a second.
Wait, what?
Let me check the tallies here. Last week, I pushed on the Kansas game, correct?
Yes.
I ended up losing the Kentucky game,
Yes.
and my other pick. Do you remember?
It was the Philadelphia Eagles -5
I
at
lost.
Arizona.
So
You lost
actually,
that one.
I was 0-2-1.
You were 0-2-1. You were trying to make me
Yes.
say, golly.
But you had me as 0-2-0. You didn't give me the tie.
I didn't give you
the
the
push.
tie. Yeah, I
But
went
hey, I'm
0-3.
honest.
Yeah.
I brought it up.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
knew something was off there because I gained a half game. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and get this started.
So you're
I got some interesting
You're
ones.
2-9-1 on the season, right?
2-8-1.
2-8-1. No, we've
Yes.
picked 12. Oh yeah, that's right. No, we picked 12
No,
games.
wait.
You'd be 2-9-1.
2-9-1. Yeah, I'm 2-9-1. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, you are.
Okay. Well, I better go 3-0 this week then.
Yeah, you need to figure things out, or just start pushing. Maybe that's the.
Okay, I am going with a game we've been talking about recently. I'm going to go Seattle +3 at home against the Arizona Cardinals. A couple different reasons for this one. Big home field advantage. in Seattle, so giving the Seahawks points against a questionable Arizona Cardinals team while Geno is rolling, while Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are rolling. I like having the points there. It was too hard to pass up. Little concern with the Rashard Penny injury. Wow. Penny
3,
injury.
2, 1.
Okay. Little concerned with the Penny injury, but I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference in this particular case. Seattle +3 at versus Arizona. Good Lord.
This is going great.
All right, guys. I'm taking Seattle +3 at home against the Arizona Cardinals.
You're taking what?
Nothing.
Seattle +3 at the Arizona Cardinals. For
Seattle +3 at home against the Arizona Cardinals. Geno Smith is rolling. DK Metcalf, Lockett coming up huge. Arizona Cardinals questionable. Give me Seattle +3.
This is going great.
That's the cut I'm using on TikTok.
You can follow us on TikTok. Game on
Yes, you
Pod.
can.
All right. I am going to start out in the Big 12. I'm going to go with Oklahoma State +4 at TCU, the Horned Frogs. Let me guess, that was
I
on
had
your
that
list.
written down too, Steve.
I mean, you can still
God.
take it. In theory, if
Good
you want.
Lord.
I mean, you could take it if you want.
You're sabotaging me this episode. Go ahead. I'll look for my extra bonus pick.
Spencer Sanders has been impressive. I feel like Oklahoma State, ranked above TCU. Yes, they're going to Fort Worth, Cowtown, as it's referred to. But Oklahoma State should be favored, in my opinion, going into this contest. They're not. +4. Give me the Pokes. I like them heading into this game on Saturday.
Okay, I too like that as well. It really feels almost like a toss-up in that game you just referenced. And I feel like 4 points is a lot of points to give Oklahoma State.
A lot.
If it went the other way, I would have taken TCU +4. It's one of those situations.
Mm-hmm.
But in a toss-up situation like this, and you give me 4, I'm just gonna have to take the points. So I'm with you on that one. Next up, I am throwing a curveball here and going with a game on first for this competition. I'm going Jacksonville Jaguars and Indianapolis Colts under 42 points. Jacksonville's defense is giving up 16 points per game. Indianapolis's defense is giving up 18.8 points per game. Both offenses have had their struggles this year, especially Indianapolis. Matt Ryan has been struggling to get any time, has fumble issues, and they are just trying to find their identity on offense, especially with Taylor's injury. Hopefully he's back this weekend, but I still see that game going under 42.
Wow. An over
And I hate
under
betting
pick.
unders. I hate betting unders, but this one forced me to.
Taking the under on 42
I got to change it up.
points.
I got to get some wins.
Interesting. All right.
You've seen
Sounds dangerous.
that Colts offense, right?
I have indeed. Yeah. Jacksonville scored though recently. I mean they've been pretty good offensively. All right, that's dangerous. Colts defense hasn't been. Brad, what I'm trying to say is I'm not sure if I'd probably take the over. All right, I'm gonna go. Let's go SEC. I'm going to take the Georgia Bulldogs, giving 38 points to the Vanderbilt Commodores. I think the Bulldogs are going to roll big time over Vanderbilt, hosting them in Athens. Bulldogs are going to roll. They're going to feel the Bulldog bite. Will the Commodores? 38 points seems like it's going to be a little too low in the difference between these two teams. Give me the defending national champions by more than 38 points.
Interesting. All year I've kind of been on the thought process of avoiding those huge Georgia lines.
Me
they
too.
tend to kind of ease up, but I see what you're saying in this situation. This is a more enticing one, so I don't blame you for taking that one. My third and final pick that I just put together 2 minutes ago. I was looking at this game, and it's one of those games that I shouldn't touch, but I'm going to because I'm forced to.
Oh boy.
Give me the Tennessee Volunteers plus 7.5 at home against the Alabama Crimson Tide. If this line would have been 7 and under, I would not have done this. But you just that extra hook on there, 7.5. That's too many points for a Tennessee Volunteer team. Has looked explosive. They're at one of the best home environments in the nation. Alabama has a lot of question marks coming in this game. Bryce Young's health has been a problem in recent weeks. They've had their backup quarterback in. I'm sure he will do everything he can to return this week and be the X factor. But 7.5 points, I just have to take it. Give me the Volunteers plus 7.5.
God, it's tough to. But after last week and what we saw with Texas A&M, if Jimbo just does anything other than what he actually did there late in that game from 2 yards out, probably a completely different story there.
And I'm not saying Alabama's not going to win because I think
No,
they're going to win. But 7.5, I mean,
Yeah, no,
that's a 2-possession game essentially in
Yes.
the betting world.
after last
So-
week, I understand.
I think they keep it close.
All right, I'm going to go back to a team that did me wrong last week, but I'm going the other side. Georgia Southern. Clay Helton totally messed me over. Should have at least got that game right. Georgia Southern against Georgia State, right? I mean, come on. Georgia Southern beat Nebraska. But here's the problem, Brad. Teams that have beat Nebraska when Scott Frost was the head coach, and even without him as the head coach, 1-11. 1-11, Brad. I'm going to take James Madison minus 10.5 at Georgia Southern. I think that continues on.
Wow, is this a vengeful pick here?
Yeah,
After
a little
getting
bit.
screwed by them?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think the fact that Georgia Southern totally screwed me last week, and big, it wasn't even close. I'm going to go with James Madison minus 10.5. James
Are
Madison.
you buying into the James Madison hype?
They're ranked in the top 25,
It's not what I asked.
and Georgia Southern has not been
Avoiding the
very
question.
good since they played Nebraska.
Do you think James Madison is a top 25 team?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
All right. Okay.
I'll take them. James Madison
We'll pull that clip for later.
minus 10.5 at Georgia Southern. Lock it in. I did like an over-under
Okay.
as well, but I'm going to take the over. 63 points, USC, Utah. I kind of alluded to it earlier. Utah has scored less than 30 points one time this season. That was week 1 at Florida. Okay? USC has scored less than 30 points one time. That was at Oregon State. Two teams that like to score more than 30 points. 63 over-under. I'm going to say the over looks pretty good there. It's not one of my picks by any means, but I do like that one.
It's Steve bonus pick.
Yeah. Which, if it's anything like Brad's bonus picks, that's actually the one
Your
you want to
own
go with.
segment.
That's the one you actually want to go with.
Sadly enough, yes. you're
Sadly
correct.
enough, Brad's bonus picks actually seem to hit better
Can I give you a legitimate reason why, though?
than Brad's actual picks.
Can I defend myself?
Sure,
a
go
little
ahead,
bit
try.
And give you. I'm going to give you a good
You
point.
better
You're
not-
going to acknowledge it.
You better not get into pickle talk again.
You're. No more pickle talk.
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
Sure.
The difference is you and I are picking these spreads on Tuesday night
Tuesday night.
of the week of.
Yes.
So a lot of things can change in those days leading up to the actual game. For example, I had Kentucky, and their starting quarterback ended up not playing.
Yes. Will Levis.
Outside factors can happen and mess up your Tuesday pick. These Brad bonus picks are closer to actual game day, so I have more information to go off of. I'm not saying I still shouldn't be better at the regular picks, because golly, I should, but just a little insight and reasons, behind the curtains here, We record Tuesday nights, so it's harder to pick that far in advance.
That's fair, I guess.
I knew it.
It's-
Acknowledge me.
It's fair. There is truth there. I'll give you
And
that.
I'm going to talk about pickles more. I'm just kidding.
And while we're on the topic of pickles, have you ever had pickles from Goldie's? Wait, what?
Fried pickles. Oh, pickle bar too?
Pickle
yeah,
bar. Yeah, see?
that's where it's at.
All right. We went over an hour here. Apologize. Nobody actually listened to that part, so that's fun. Only way you're actually going to hear that is TikTok. We acknowledge that. You can follow us on TikTok, Game On Pod. You can also follow us on Facebook. Facebook.
Ah,
Aha!
who's messing up now?
Facebook.
Struggling.
You can follow us on Facebook, Game On Pod there as well. And Twitter, it's at Game On Guys. Email us, emailgameon@gmail.com, and you can visit our website, gameonguys.wordpress.com. Added some new links there. You can go to Listen Now and be able to quickly find however you like to listen to our podcasts. Whatever your favorite podcast listening platform is, be it at Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify. We have those links all available for you. I also added our social media links under Contact Us. So how about that, Brad? You didn't even know that.
About it?
'Cause you don't even pay attention to the website. You didn't even,
I don't, yeah.
yeah, you
My God.
no good. Antonio, no good. All right. Just another edition.
It was fun, Steve.
Yeah.
Let's hit all our bets.
Yeah.
Let's have 2 3-0 weekends. What do you say?
The way this thing's gone, I have the better chance of that happening. And Brad has now changed the color of his background
You
once
didn't
again.
have to. I was trying to go out on Unity, and you turned it red. Well,
Good for you.
Yeah. Well, have a good weekend, everybody. This has been
lose.
Game On.
you lose.
2, 1, 2, 3.
Are you ready, America? It's time for another edition of Game On. With your host, Stevie Ray Braun, and Brad Bad News Bollinger. Sit back, relax, and enjoy Game On.